and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is about that time. Keep your hands up and keep your head on a swivel. The Haymakers and Submissions podcast is here. We woke up and chose violence today. Stick and stay for combat sports talk at its finest, coming your way now.
Welcome, everybody, to the Haymakers and Submissions podcast. I'm Drew, he's Chops, and we're talking all things combat sports. And we focused on boxing today because it is a huge boxing weekend coming up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. First, Chops, how you doing?
I'm trying to maintain, man. I am here in Pennsylvania. Came up actually for Easter. Came up a couple days before Easter. My wife works from, as long as it has internet, we're good. Can do anything and whatever have you. So we said, might as well stay some days after Easter. You know what I mean? Nothing else to do. And I love fishing. So did some fishing up here, significantly different than down in Georgia. We stayed. Then my wife ended up getting ill, some stomach pains, whatever have you. Took her to ER. Turned out she's on the mend, still hurting, whatever have you. But while we're in the hospital, there was a huge. Some people would say it's tornadoes, touchdowns. You can't get real. Even the news is not sure if they should categorize it as tornadoes or not. It's been 48 hours. Power is still out, and a lot of places we have power, but we don't have internet. You know, some places don't have either. You know, so a lot of people in the area are still getting texts. We got our power. Some people are saying they're going to be out, went out on Tuesday. They're going to be out of power until Sunday. So it's crazy now. And it's extremely crazy for me because in Georgia, power goes out, but their units, they're on it. They're on it, those companies, to get it back up and running. Now, I know in my hometown, the last census I saw was 10 years ago, but there wasn't even 5,000 people. We only have one stoplight in my town, you know. So of course things don't move as fast, but it's been hectic, man. So I'm like, when power went out, I believe it went out that day at 6, and here at 6 in the afternoon, 5:36, and it was 2:30 or 3 in the morning. We still didn't have power. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? My wife and I were driving back from the hospital at the time, and it's about 15, 18 miles, somewhere around there. And everything is pitch black because street lights, everything is out. And I'm like, you know what I don't see? I didn't see one power truck working on anything. Now I understand there are going to be multiple outages, this, that, and the third, but I didn't see any trucks anywhere fixing. I don't know, man. It was just odd. But God bless us, we at least have power. No internet, so can't do much. But, you know, like even this. My picture looks different than normal because I'm using my data on my cell phone. So trying to make it work, fans, trying to make it work. Hopefully we come across, you know, you guys can hear us and we can still have a great show.
Oh, yeah, loud and clear. Let's jump into it, man, because we got a lot to talk about. This is a huge weekend. It's the Fatal Fury weekend, right? We had the first card last week. We'll talk about the Eubank Jr. Benn fight shortly. And then we've got two huge cards coming up. On May 2nd, Friday, and May 3rd on Saturday. And then there's also a fight on Sunday we're going to talk about shortly here as well. But Chops, let's get into it. Let's talk about the Eubank Jr. Benn fight. Chris Eubank Jr. wins via unanimous decision. I believe two cards had at 116, 112, one card at 115, 113. In your eyes, how did you see this one?
I had at 116, 112 as well. However, and I know we've got a lot to cover in our other fights, but I really want to dive into this one. When we talk about boxing, there are certain boxers that when you talk about, we've said there are levels to this. When we say that there are levels to this, well, I realized there are also levels to trainers, right? There are also levels to trainers. And I say that because, let me backtrack. Well, first off, the catch weight was 160. And as we said, Benn was a true welterweight at 147, a true welterweight. So he's going up. Eubanks is coming down. Catch weight at 160 with 10 weight rehydration clause. Couldn't go up 10 pounds. Pounds. So 170 was the final, which I don't even understand. If you're going to say 170 is a weight class, 170, just weighing 170 is 170. It is what it is. However, but when they weighed in, Conor Benn didn't even make 160. He didn't even make 160.
Yeah,
So
159, yep.
yeah, so when they get in to the ring, you saw a significant size difference. I know I did. Did you see the size?
Yeah, Eubank was obviously the larger fight. I mean, I wouldn't say he was. It wasn't as pronounced as Garcia and Haney. I'll say that, but I definitely saw the difference in my view.
Okay, well, see, I thought it was only because Garcia looked so much heavier, and Garcia was so ripped. So I saw Garcia's about that. I saw Garcia's a bit huge because we saw Garcia bigger and heavier than he'd ever been. Where your boy Eubank was bigger, but it just looked like to me he wasn't as muscled and defined, so therefore he just looked like a bigger guy. But more importantly than that, he's 35, right? Mm-hmm. You knew, and they knew, they as in Benn's team knew it was a hard camp for him. It was a hard because he didn't make weight.
Nope.
It was a hard camp. Okay, so soon as you get in, you got to realize it's going to be hard for him to rehydrate and only stay at 170. And then if he does, he's still not going to be at 100%. He's still going to be drained. Okay. So to me, if I'm sorry about that. If I'm Benn's camp, right? I apologize for that. If I'm Benn's camp, we have to come at him and make him use his he's got to use his tank. He's got to use his tank. I didn't think they did that. However, and early on, Benn showed he could hurt him. That was that second, third round. He stunned him. Mm-hmm. Right? But here's where I'm saying there's levels to this, and there's also levels in the trainers. And you and I talked about this episodes before. The Lou Duvas, the Eddie Futch, the Emmanuel Stewarts, the Cusamatos, the Teddy Atlas when he did it, the Kevin Rooneys, those guys, the Angelo Dundees. Yeah. They were different. You don't see those guys anymore. And as we had talked about, we don't see the same tutelage. We don't see the same skill set from boxers now that we used to see. And I'm saying that now because even starting out, Benn made Eubanks miss a lot early on. Okay. Yeah. Now you're making him miss. And here's where I think his corner is in Benn's corner failed him. Because number one, they didn't tell him to go at him harder. We know you have the better gas tank. We know your tank is better. So I think you should have pushed him there. Okay. Also, where I think they did him a disservice, they didn't tell him to go hard to the body. And when I say that, did you see it, man?
He went late, but he did not start that. He was headhunting, trying to knock his head off for the first 4 rounds.
Exactly. And you saw Eubanks ducking some of those because he saw them coming.
Oh, yeah.
You were the faster fighter, the younger fighter. You could have been in and out. Boom, boom. Catch a couple body shots and get out of the pocket. He was making a miss, but he wasn't staying in the pocket to beat the body up. There have been other fighters that say, now they've done it for different reasons, but other fighters would, if you're a heavy puncher, you just throw punches. Foreman would do it. He'd punch you in the body. He'd punch you in the head. He'd punch you in the shoulders. He'd punch you in the arms. Wherever he was punching. Now, I understand Benn does not have that power. I get that. However, if you're just throwing punches, throw to the body, throw to the head. If you're hitting the arms, you're hitting the shoulders. This guy's depleted. Eubanks is depleted. He's going to be there to be hit come 4th, 5th, 6th, those middle to late round. You knew it. I just think if Benn's corner had done him the proper service, go to the body, work the body, and kept drilling it, work the body. I think, and I'm just being honest with you, I think Benn had a chance to win that fight. That's me. But I'm going to go on because what I'm going to talk about in Eubank style. But on Connor, what did you think about that?
I agree. I actually thought that Benn was going to win the fight because I thought Eubank at the weigh-in, and obviously he missed the weigh. He came in at 160.2, I believe. So he had to pay up $500,000 for that. He came in at 169.5, I believe. So he just got under the 170. He would have owed another $1 million if he would have missed that one. But he looked really gaunt and depleted at the initial weigh-in. I was concerned as to whether he would rehydrate or not. And I think Benn, the strategy early on was correct. Go hard at him and try to get him early. I thought he'd get him by 6 if he would have kept the heat on, but he wasn't connecting. He was trying to throw these massive haymaker rights that you could see coming from a mile away. I mean, they were those big wind up overhand rights. And he I don't even know. He might have hit him once or twice with those, but nothing huge. Because if he would have connected huge, he would have knocked him out. I mean, it was massive punches, but he didn't go to the body till at least after the 6th round. And that was the game plan there. I thought that's what should have happened right after round 2. But he tried to get him early. He stayed with that too long. I had it even through 10.
Wow.
I thought Eubank won the fight in the last 2 rounds. He was more active. He was hitting hard. It was a great fight. Benn was fighting, but I had it even. I ended up giving it to Eubank's 115, 113. But I thought that it was a very, very close fight. And I've called the fight of the year, Ken. I know many others have as well. I'm curious what your thoughts are on it.
Oh, man. Here's the thing. I like to see fight of the year when I see both guys at their best and we're getting the best of both guys. Eubanks was depleted. Eubanks is older. Benn is faster. Benn is younger. Benn, to me, just fought a terrible fight plan. And I enjoyed it because they were throwing leather. That I did enjoy because they were throwing. But you, as in Benn, you depleted your gas tank just as much by continuing to miss with those ridiculous overhand rights that weren't connecting, because those take a lot out of you too. Those take, always missing. However, to me, I had your boy Eubank starting to pull away strictly because of size, not because he was beating up Eubanks, because you could see him laying on him. You could see him tiring out. You could see Eubanks getting hit with shots he shouldn't have been getting hit with. So that's why I had him end up pulling away and giving him the win by the, 116, 112. Now there's a rematch clause in that. Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, just stay with me for a second. Okay, did you like Benn taking this fight?
I mean, all things being equal, you never like that much of a weight discrepancy between two fighters. You never like that. Now, the emotions and the rivalry behind this is what kind of nullifies that. So in that regard, I was okay with it because Benn had to come up just as far as Eubank had to come down. And I think to touch on your point about the weigh-in, it was almost like, I mean, if they would have been at 170 right away, I think it would have given Eubank quite a significant advantage, because he wouldn't have had the stress to come all the way down to 160, because everyone knows he's going to rehydrate. So I think that was, and then also was the challenge to Benn that, you've got to come up, you don't have to come up as high, but the rehydration clause, you better be able to rehydrate higher, which he was able to get in, I think at 168 or 169 at some right in there. But like to your point, Benn didn't even make weight on either of those. He came in just under, but yeah. Eubank definitely struggled to make the 160. But to his credit, man, when he weathered the storm, he looked really good in the second half of the fight. And the fight, I felt, got more. Both fighters became even more active in the second half of that fight. And I love the second half of the fight. I liked the first half. I love the second half of it. But that's how I saw it.
It was hard for me even in the second half, because I just thought Benn gave away the first half. And when I say gave away, not going to the body like I feel he should have. You know what I mean? That was it. And real quick, here's where I didn't like the fight at all. Number one, great. You want to try to redeem your father's name or the name or whatever have you. But it's not a natural fight in the aspect where two different weight classes, okay? There was nothing for you to truly gain by getting that win. And it doesn't help you in your weight class, you know what I mean? But And that to me, this fight to me is where I always talk about it though I'm not the biggest Mayweather fan. I give Mayweather credit because Mayweather never got in his feelings. It never got emotional or personal to him the way he would fight. He always stayed his defense. He didn't care if people booed. It was what it was. He came to win, and he was a businessman in doing that. Yeah. Benn took this fight on an emotional level. Yeah. You weren't in his weight class, and it just the way he fought, trying to take his head off from round one. It just, I don't know, man. I liked it. You know, me, two old ladies in England want to watch the fight, but it's not something that I was looking forward to. Now, this rematch, does he go to the body? Is it going to be easier for Eubank to make the 160? Those are all going to be telling tales, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting if they have a rematch or not. But yeah, I enjoyed the fight a lot. I say it's a fight of the year candidate because we're literally 1/3 of the way, and we're recording this on May 1st, so we're 1/3 of the way through 2025, and it was one of the most exciting fights I've seen.
Yeah, I'll give you that
so far. So we'll see what happens, but it'll be an interesting rematch if and in fact happens. Let's talk about.
There was that rematch clause in there, so we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what the penalty would be if one or the other doesn't want it. I'm not sure, but we will see. So Friday, May 2nd, in Times Square, New York City. Hopefully the weather holds up for them in terms of coldness. But we got a huge card come up. We're going to cover the top 3 fights in this one, and we're going to start out with the Teofimo Lopez, Arnold Barboza Jr. fight. And Chops, I wouldn't say either of these guys are knockout specialists. They certainly have some on their records, but intense fighters that bring it, and there's a lot of emotion around this one. Talk about your thoughts on this one.
Okay. Now, first and foremost, I'm as excited for this in Times Square as I'm like, really? And only because Times Square, and it's an intimate setting, I think, for between 2,000 and 4,000 tickets. There's not a whole lot of tickets going, like basically everybody there's a VIP basically. So I'm interested about that, and that's in Times Square. And again, I think Turkey Al-Sheikh has his hand in this one, right? So now he's showing it, okay, I can do other things rather than Dubai, whatever have you. And Times Square outside, that's pretty interesting. You know what I mean? And he's like, I don't need 10, 15,000 people there for the ticket draw, whatever the gate draw. I'll have an intimate setting because he gets. So I'm interested in that. And Turkey's, it's going to be interesting to see how he helps transform boxing, because now the other promoters will step up, going to be more ingenuitive in where they have and the venues they have. So I'm interested, but I'm also interested to see. Again, apologize for that. But I'm also interested to see if Dana had something to do with that. And I say that because Dana and UFC, even during COVID, they continued to fight, and they were going overseas, and they were finding new venues. I wonder if he was throwing that out to Turk. But again, that's neither here nor there. I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
This is going to be a good one. This is really going to be a good one. Now, you talk about the weather. Have you heard if there's a contingency plan on what happens? Like if there's rain, what happens?
I have not
Certainly have one, because this card, we can't afford for this card to be postponed. We can't afford it.
I don't know if the theater at MSG is available or not. I would have to think they'd have a backup plan. Honestly, I just haven't seen what it is.
I know. I'm hoping. Okay, so this one, you're right, man. I'm gonna start with Teofimo. He's the bigger name, and I only say the bigger name, the more popular name. I'm gonna go with the bigger, more popular name. Okay, he needs this. He needs this like the desert needs the rain. As the old saying used to go. Okay, he hasn't had as you alluded to it. Neither guy's a real knockout artist. He hasn't had a knockout since 22, 21, 22, I think it was, right? I want to say Teofimo.
Yeah.
Now he gets the fight. He gets the win against Lomo. Huge, right? Which I think Lomo gave away the first half of that fight. It wasn't taken from him. I think he gave it away, but that's neither here nor there. Teofimo walks away from the win. He beats Jermaine Ortiz in a unanimous decision, but he did not look great. Teo did not look great. No. He beat Pedro Campo, however you pronounce his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, in that one, great hands. He looked great. He was slipping and diving. He looked great. But as we said, there's levels to this, right? Then you go against Claggett, and the fans damn near wanted their money back. You know what I mean? There was the rah-rah who it wasn't there. It was a lackluster. What was it? Sandor Martin. Again, another to me so performance. You know what I mean? So Teofimo. Now again, don't forget, man, and I need to go back to look when this was. He said he was going to retire from boxing for a bit. We think that was a ploy to get out from what he owes his wife. Remember, because it was going through a bad marriage and a bad divorce. I don't know how that played. It also the mental aspect of how he looked in the ring. We don't know, because we know fighting is a lot mental. So I don't know where it's at. Maybe that was it. Cool. But he's been arguing with a lot of fighters. He's been gibbering and jabbering. You know what I mean? So that wasn't. He talked tough back then, but it was different from what it is now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he is in Teofimo really needs this. So I'm interested to see how it goes and how it looks.
Yeah, the thing with Lopez, he's like the antithesis of Mayweather in terms of, like you said, Mayweather never got up in his feelings. He was all business. Teal's the exact opposite. And when you look at, I got it on the screen now. I mean, he fought Comey. He looked great. He looked great against Loma because no one gave him a shot and a prayer on God's green earth to win that fight, and he did. Even though, like you said, Loma gave away the first half of that fight.
Yeah.
He took advantage of it. And then he has this emotional letdown and loses to Kambosos. And then ever since then, and you, like you said, you talk about some personal issues and stuff like that, and that's documented with his divorce, what have you. But he's really not showing us what we saw against Loma and against Comey since that Kambosos loss. And you can see he's fought 5 times and he's won them all. But again, not in impressive fashion. Here's another concern I have, Chops. I got the picture of the face-off there. Barboza knocked that hat off and went after him. And Lopez is kind of playing the clown.
Yes.
That's not in his wheelhouse. When he's at his best, because he fights, he's always about his emotions. When he's got a chip on his shoulder, he's kind of got that like Napoleon complex, right? Respect me, I'm going to show you. Well, Barboza ain't disrespecting him. Barboza just say, I'm going to get you. And Theo all of a sudden looks like he's coming in with a luchador mask, clowning around. We'll see how funny it is on Friday. I mean, and that's where I'm concerned about. What are your thoughts?
Well, you said the antics, right?
Mm-hmm.
He, as in Lopez, tried his antics, and from the gate, Barboza was like, "Dude, I'm not about that. I'm not about those games." And then you talk about in the face-off, Barboza looks bigger.
He is.
Looks bigger, and there was something that had happened in a hotel room where I think Lopez was trying to clown him, and Barboza stood nose to nose. Bro, I'm here. I'm not hard to find. And I think, I'm not saying that's shaky, Lopez. I'm not going to use that word. But I think it hit a little different. This guy's not playing around. But also, as I talked about Lopez the first time, let me talk about Barboza now, right?
Yep.
Barboza, he's been an underdog in his last 2 fights, last 2 or 3, to be honest with you, right?
Yeah.
And he beats
Ramirez,
right? And which was a good fight. It really was a good fight, and he beat that one. But the one that got me was him beating Catterall.
Yeah.
In the UK. And I say that because he went in, as we always said, he went into the lion's den. He went into Catterall's living room. They say never jump on a junkyard dog in his own backyard. He went into the UK, a huge dog, in a truly, truly, truly hostile environment, as a clip from Rocky IV when Rocky goes to fight the Russians in a hostile environment. You know what I mean? But that's what it was. Nobody but him and his corner believed in him. It was a hostile environment. He did what he had to do. And in being in there with Ramirez and doing that, being an underdog in the last couple fights, right? And nothing's been given to him. Nothing has been given to him. And when I say that, I mean, like, some guys will be 18, 19-0, and they'll fight a lot of guys that nobody knows. He's not been doing that. He's got some names on his record. You know what I'm saying? He's got some challenges. So the fact that you, as in Lopez, you want to come with these games, you want to come with this hee ha ha kiki, you know what I mean? Do what you want. I've been in hostile environments. I've been here. I've been the underdog, and I've overcome it all. This, you being a clown, this makes it more easy and relaxing for me because I know what I can do. I don't have to be that guy. You know, the guy that talks the loudest is always the weakest. You know what I mean? This is something you have to worry about. And I am in. Barboza is 33 years old, right? He has his nerves. He has his wits about him. I don't believe. Come on, man. There's no way you, Drew, could ever, or anybody could ever convince me that this stage will be too big for Barboza. Not what he's already been through. No way. He's already been. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And if he comes in, he is in Barboza, comes in, and he uses he's technical with his boxing, right? And he stays true to his game plan, fights inside his phone booth. And when I say his phone booth, not trying to make it a close quarter fight, but he doesn't get outside himself, doesn't come with the Conor Benn punches. You know, he stays here. Because Teofimo looks best when guys do go crazy. They do get wild. They do get outside themselves. I honestly, and this entire weekend, if there's one word for everybody, it's almost like the song, you know, Eminem song, Your Boy Detroit Guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you had one moment, would you capture it? You know what I mean? Because these guys right now, we're kicking off with Lopez and Barboza. Big dog, this is their one opportunity. Lopez needs to get back to show he's back to what he used to be, and he needs a great performance because a so-so performance like against Cleggett, you know, or against Ortiz, that's not going to get it done. That's not going to get it done. And Barboza, he gets this big name win on his belt. This shoots him up to where he wants to be. You know what I mean? I really, it puts him in the conversation. So both of these guys, it's their opportunity. You know what I mean? So in all three of these fights we're going to cover, that song as I go to, it to me it holds true for all three of them, all fights and all six combatants.
Absolutely. Who do you like in this one?
Big dog. From what? Okay, only as good as your last fight, as they say. You know what I mean? But off his last couple fights, Lopez does not look well. Off his last couple fights, Barboza has looked strong. In these face-offs, Barboza's not getting outside himself. Lopez becoming the court jester to some degree on some of his antics. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm going with Barboza. I don't know if you saw in the final presser, I think that was Teofimo, who was dressed in an all-silver like suit. Did you see that?
With the luchador mask, yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm like, dude, what do you... I mean, and I get that's homage, you know, to his ethnicity, whatever have you, but that's not what you've been. No. You know what I mean? And if you're going to wear that to the ring. At the press table, sit there, you know, and be, I don't know, man. I'm going with Barboza. I'm going with Barboza in this. And honestly, regardless of who wins this to me is going to be a banger. It's going to be a banger.
Yeah, I think it could sneaky be the best fight on the card. I got Barboza winning on a unanimous decision. I think it's going to go to distance because I don't think either of them are going to put each other's lights out. But I think Barboza is going to be the more polished and more focused fighter in this. And I don't believe he's going. I think it's very clear he's not intimidated at all by Lopez at all. So I think it's going to be a great fight. But yeah, I agree with you, Barboza. I like him in this one too.
It is. Look, hold on real quick. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
No, I'll wait until remind me. I want to ask you a question. When this all comes out, all right. After we finish these cards for the Friday and Saturday.
Gotcha. Well, let's talk about Devin Haney and Jose Carlos Ramirez. Ramirez, he lost to Barboza, and we talked about that. You know, that was his last fight, but we haven't seen Devin Haney since that. Ultimately, the no contest against Ryan Garcia over a year ago. So now we're going to see Devin Haney back. Now, they both have pretty good resumes, Chops, but let's talk about this. Ramirez, let's talk about Ramirez first. He's 20-2 with 18 knockouts. He's 32. He's got a slight height and reach advantage, but he's fought some. He's got some names on his resume. Let's talk about him. What do you like?
Oh man, yes, Ramirez definitely. Was a loss, but he has Barboza, right? That puts you in there, right? Now you have Richard Comey. Comey was a big dude, and I think he handed Pedraza his first loss. You know what I mean? Pedraza now has 3 losses and a couple of losses since that fight. But yeah. I think he handed Pedraza his first loss, and he's fought Josh Taylor. So that's some experience in there, big dog. That is some true experience that he has. It's interesting to see because it's at a catch weight at 144 because both guys were having trouble getting down to the 140. So I am going just Ramirez on this. I like what Ramirez does, and I think he is he's a good fighter. He has experience. I don't think the moment will be too big for him. And I'm interested to see with his game plan, is he going to continue to throw that left hook? If I'm him in his corner, Haney, I need to see you made the proper adjustments. I need to see, because I don't care how much you sparred. Sparring is not like going live. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I'm interested to see that. He, as in Ramirez, he has the experience. He has the boxing knowledge. He has his wits about him. And I think his corner is going to do him justice. And I'm hoping he throws that left hook to see where Haney is with that.
I would agree, and I think that would be a great game plan for them to go after what worked for Ryan Garcia. And I don't believe Ramirez has that kind of left hook, but at the same time, it still can be an effective weapon, and it typically is for most fighters, even orthodox fighters. That left hook's going to have a little pop behind it. Garcia happens to have one of the best in boxing.
Yeah. Well, again, now I'm not saying you're throwing it to punish him like Garcia did, because number one, Ramirez, your left hook isn't like Garcia's, like you said, one of the best in the business. But number two, Garcia had some PEDs in his system, and he was huge. You know what I mean? So we take all that into consideration. I want to see if he is in Garcia fires off this left hook, and if you connect a couple times, how does Haney respond? Even if it doesn't hurt him, I'm still getting hit with this. You know what I mean? I want to see if he plays it.
Psychological.
Yes, absolutely.
We know, before the Garcia fight, Devin Haney really was highly thought of, considered one of the top 4 in really considered one of the new kings that the kids have been calling, but he kind of fell from grace in the Garcia fight. Of course, the PED issue, etc. But you can't deny the fact, like you brought up, that he ate several left hooks to his detriment against Garcia, and he never adjusted to it. So that's a concern. The layoff's a bigger concern. What version of Devin Haney do you think we're going to see?
Well, okay. How long? What's that? That fight's. How long has that fight been? A year and a half? How long ago was that fight?
It's been over a year.
Okay. The layoff doesn't concern me because we see a lot of guys now taking off a year. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's the type of layoff. He had a layoff because he had the lawsuit. He had a layoff because he had a massive, it was just his father's arguing. He had a lawsuit. Where is he mentally? That's what affects me more than the distance and the timeline. Because he, hypothetically, say everything went down, they don't file a lawsuit, his father doesn't start arguing with everyone, his father doesn't get into Twitter wars, he just says, we lost, they cheated, we're on to bigger and better things. When he's ready to fight me like a man, we'll do it. And then go on. Fine. Mm-hmm. Say 6-7 months later, maybe 8 months later, Haney is back in the ring. I'm cool with that. But it was the way, but it's the way this layoff has went down. You know what I mean? Because getting knocked out, that can happen to anybody in the sport. We get that. That's part of what you do. Yep. But filing a lawsuit because he used PEDs, going through the Twitter war. And the crazy part is, Haney wasn't even talking much. So at that point, was he a shell of himself? I don't know. I don't know, man. I really don't know. And so, again, going back to the type of layoff it was, Haney needs this. Now, also in the same token, Ramirez is coming off of a tough loss, right? But he has some names under his belt. Now, when you look at it, Kambosos twice, Linares, Lomo, Haney has names on his, you know what I'm saying? So can he get back to that gifted fighter that we knew before? That's the thing. And it's all going to be mental, because if you get hit solid with a left hook, it doesn't even have to rock you. But if he hits you with it 2 or 3 times in 2 or 3 different rounds and your defense isn't there, how do you adjust mentally? That's what I'm most interested in seeing.
Yeah. So how I guess I'll jump into what I see happening here. I'm going to lean towards seeing the better version of Devin Haney. I would like to think I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I really think he's a great fighter still. Yes. And I'm going to give him the nod here. I think he'll win by decision, and I'm hoping he'll win somewhat convincingly by a 116-112. I would like to see something like that. I don't, I know it's split in hairs, 115, 113, 116, 112. It's 7-5 or
116, 112 sounds more significant. You know what I mean?
It does. Yeah. And I'd like to see that. And I would, if I believe if Devin Haney's at his best, I think that's what'll happen. But what do you think?
Here's the problem. I'm torn, because I want to see Haney win, because I know he has the talent. I want to see him get back to what he was, but his father being a loudmouth just irks me. You know what I mean? You're a grown man and you're getting in a Twitter war and Twitter beef. That bothers me. But you're right. I do. And I don't care if it goes the distance or whatever, but I do want it to be where Haney gets tested. I need to see that he is back mentally, because once he walks out of this ring, and it's got to be with a win, number one, it's got to be with a win, and it's got to be where he's been through something. It's got to be convincing. You know what I mean? Because if he loses, or if he barely gets through, or he gets scraped, or it's that was a razor's edge, or, I don't know, Haney might have lost that one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what do that young man's psyche, and I worry about that. I worry about that. So again, I hope Haney wins. I'd like to see him get tested. Don't care if we go 6 rounds, 5. I'd like it to go at least 5 good 6 rounds. Let him get some work in. You know what I mean? Because he showed heart even against Garcia. Let's not get it twisted. Mm-hmm. He got knocked down and he got beat up, but he continued to get up. That was, you know what I'm saying? So, and if we think about it, you take down those knockdowns, he was still outboxing Garcia. He just couldn't. Those knockouts were everything. You know what I mean? Those knockouts were a difference. So he still has the skill set. Need to see where he is mentally.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm definitely looking forward to that one. I still think the Lopez Barboza fight could have more fireworks in my view. That's why I was saying that could be the fight of the card of the card per se.
Yeah. And it'll go back to the question I plan on asking.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to that. Let's talk about the main event in this one. The return of King Ryan Garcia, the aforementioned Ryan Garcia, the no contest against Devin Haney for the PEDs. He was suspended for that. He's back now against a pretty big name opponent, Romero, coming in. Raleigh's 16-2 with 13 knockouts. They're both similar age. Ryan's got a little bit of a height and reach advantage on him, but let's talk about Raleigh first. He's got some names on his card, but he's lost 2 of his last 5 fights, Chops.
Yeah. A big dog. I sent you that video clip where it showed him shadow boxing in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And his skill set's better than mine. He's been, I'm an old man now, I'm plus over 50, but it looked like a guy who had been working out at the Y for maybe 5 or 6 months. He just didn't look sharp. He wasn't turning the hips when he was throwing that hook. I wasn't seeing a whole lot of speed and tight on the upper. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. He's lost 2 of his last 5, or only 2 of his last 5. You're saying, or something of that nature. Yeah,
he's lost 2 in his last 5. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know if Garcia is who you want to be in there with to get your confidence back. And I'm just keeping it 100. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's. I don't think rolling. The money's going to be great. Turkey's offering the ring, King's ransom. So I see why he's stepping in the ring. And again, he'll be set for life, so he won't need to worry about his career. But if he was 3-3 over your last 6, you're going to have to work back up at this weight class to get back in title contention. So on this aspect, I don't get why you're doing it. For the business aspect of it in your pocketbook, I see why you're doing it. For career-wise and where it'll get me. Now, if you can get the win, that propels you. But I'm looking at your boy Garcia as a nice favorite. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the actual odds are right now, but I'd say Garcia is a nice favorite. I just don't see Raleigh having it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is for the vacant WBA welterweight title too, by the way.
And here's also, how is a guy 3-2 in his last 5 get a title shot? See, this is what bothers me about boxing. You know what also bothers me about boxing? We know that if Garcia and Haney can both win, those two are up next, right?
Exactly.
Why would boxing do that? Put them on the same card, or even let them know what the next fight is. And I say that because we didn't see that years and years ago. You know what I'm saying? When our best fighters, win this fight, worry about this one. Then we'll see what the future holds. But them saying if you win, you got the next fight coming up, this, that, and the third, whatever have you. I'm not a fan of this, only because you need to be there mentally when you fight. You need to be there mentally. Now, will Garcia, will one of them go for a knockout when it's not there? Will one of them get into a firefight when that's not what's in their best interest? Could one of them end up getting clipped because they're trying to hurry up and get this guy out of there because they're looking on the horizon? I just don't know, man. That is the only thing I don't like about these guys all fighting on the same card. That's the only thing I don't like about it.
Yeah, and I mean, when we talk about Garcia, a little bit here, he obviously he's got the one loss to Tank, although and that was when he got that liver shot in the 7th, and he was not. He knew he was done. He took a lot of heat for that. He came back and got Duarte with an 8-round KO, and then he had the Haney fight. But Garcia, it's about the mental thing. I mean, and I'm pleasantly surprised because I'm not a fan of his. I don't like his antics. I don't like the way he talks. I don't like what he says. But I do respect his abilities.
Yeah, have to.
He's a great fighter. But I'm seeing a low-keyed, more professional Ryan Garcia leading up to this fight, and maybe that's what we need from him going forward.
Hold on, because I got to give you a little pushback on that.
All right.
You do when he's talking about rolling, but you even at the press conferences, him and Devin Haney's father's still going at it. Those two aren't even getting in the ring. That's what bothers me. You know what I'm saying? So now let me ask you this, okay? Mm-hmm. Just think about this, because neither one of us will know until fight time goes down. Haney will fight before Ramirez. If Haney wins, Garcia, does he try to come out and win in spectacular fashion and try to punish Raleigh, get into a firefight that he doesn't need, and as he's doing this, look out and call out Haney's dad? Does he start chirping then and there, which we know takes his mind off of what you're presently doing? You know what I mean? If Haney loses, does he go out and try to look in better spectacular fashion because now he wants to show him up and clown and, talk more to Haney's dad? Or does he be like, man, I lost a ton of money? And you know what I mean? There's a lot of things that could go on, man. And that's why I just hate guys knowing who their next opponent is. I just hate that, man. I hate it. I don't know.
I agree.
But see, to me, this might be the sign of the times we're in, but also a little bit of Turkey not realizing the side of boxing on that aspect, the business aspect of it, because him doing it this way could possibly take away from guys' mentals, and we could not see the sharpest fighter at every weight class. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I just think about that. And real quick, I want to see if any of these guys tweet about any of the other guy during their fights. Not during their fights, of course. Yeah, Garcia can't tweet about Haney while he is in the ring, but will he, as in Garcia, tweet about Haney while Haney's in the ring? And if he does, that lets me know his head is not where it's supposed to be. And
I definitely agree with that. No question.
I'm gonna look for that. I apologize, man. We got fights to cover, and we're going deep in this, man. We knew we would.
Cool. Oh yeah, we're gonna go over the hour, but that's all right. There's too much to talk about.
Absolutely.
How do you see this one shaking out?
Man, Honestly, we're going to keep it a buck. Two things are going to be true, and I'm going to talk out both sides of my neck or both sides of my mouth, however you want to say it.
Okay.
When the leather is flying, anything can happen. And Raleigh does have experience, and he's been in there with some big names, so he's got that. However, I'm going to ask you a question because I haven't been able to come up with one. What does Raleigh do better than Garcia? When you check down height, speed, hook, body shot, stamina, what does Raleigh do better?
Not to say that he doesn't have skill, but I can't think of any one particular thing he does better than Garcia. He does things well, and no question, he's a fine fighter, but he's not better at any one aspect than Garcia, in my view.
Absolutely. So on that aspect, I don't see how you go against Garcia. But again, the smart money, there's no way you go against Garcia. And if I was a betting man, I'm betting on Garcia. But and Raleigh's not a knockout guy, but will he be in desperation mode? This is my chance. This is my opportunity. I'm 2-5. I'm 3-2 in my last 5. If I knock this guy out, it can put me in bigger and better things. If I can knock this guy out, maybe I can fight Haney. If I knock this guy out, maybe it puts me for line of take. I don't know. But maybe Raleigh comes out and swings for the fences and just tries to, you know what I mean? I don't know. But there's no way the smart money I put anything on Raleigh. Just
no.
Keep it.
And I looked up the odds, and Garcia's a minus 1,200 favorite. So we got massive favorite. Now, to me, the key, if Raleigh has a shot, he's got to come hard early. Garcia's been April 20th of 24 is when he fought Haney. So they're looking at a 54-week layoff, about a year. Not unheard of anymore, to be honest. But you don't know what he's been doing. We see clips and etc. But in training and keeping in shape, and he looks like he's in pretty good shape. But if I'm Raleigh, I got to go after him hard early, because that brings, like you said, sparring and training is not the same as the actual fight. So if there's any issue, it would be with his stamina, and he's got to try to exploit that early and make him work real hard early to defend and put him and put doubt in his mind. Because I believe if he doesn't do that, Garcia will take him out. I have this going a little longer. I think I've got it going 9 rounds. I think Garcia will put him out.
I was thinking 7
okay.
or 8. We're in a ballpark. We're in a ballpark. So we'll see. And I do think we're going to see a better version of Garcia. And I say that because he knows he was on the PEDs. He knows what he did in his last fight against Haney. When I say what he did, using the PEDs. So he wants to come out and win in spectacular fashion. So I want to see if he goes back to basics, if he sits down on punches, if he works in behind the jab. Does he try to rock that body with the left hook, his signature punch? I'm hoping he doesn't fight like Conor Benn and all I have is the knockout, because Garcia has the skill set to do what he needs to do. And I'm hoping he's also not thinking, I can't win unanimous decision. And if I do, I need to win. What is this, 12? I need to win 9-3 rounds, 8-4 at worst. I don't want him thinking that. You know what I mean? I don't want him going out trying to look for the knockout, trying to be that man. I hope he stays within himself. He's crisp. He's clean. And I hope I'm seeing him to get the W, because there's nothing to me Raleigh does better than Garcia. There's nothing he does better than Garcia. So
yeah, no argument about that. So it's going to be that's going to be a great card. I mean, there's other undercard fights as well, but that's going to be an awesome card to see. I think that's the best part of the weekend. And we're jumping in now. We're going to start talking.
Hold on. So let me ask you this real quick. Okay. You can answer it how you want to answer it and tell me why. Okay. Because I could a couple different with mine. Of the names on all these. Now, we would like to believe there's A and B on every card. I'm the A side, you're the B side, you're the B side, I'm the A side, you're the A, whatever have you. We would have to believe that Garcia, Lopez, and Haney are the bigger names, right? We would have to, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, on each card, okay. In your mind, Garcia, Rowley, Lopez, Barboza, Haney, Ramirez, who has the toughest opponent?
Good question. Really good question. I'm going to go with and this is why I think it's going to be the best fight of the night, is the Lopez Barboza. I think the matchup is strong. Barboza being what we would call the B side in this scenario is the scariest of the three.
Yes.
And Teo mentally, emotionally is, and they're all three, you know, whether it's Haney, Garcia, or Lopez, they all are emotional a little bit. Haney's more from his camp, less from him. So there's that wild card too. So I think Lopez has his hands full with Barboza, big time.
Okay. All right. And if we're going on scariest because of physical, I'm also with Barboza, Lopez. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure I understand why they chose Barboza, because your boy Lopez needs a win and he needs to look good doing it. I don't know Barboza's that guy, number one.
Yeah.
But as in the mental and what could be what, Ramirez could be the toughest opponent. And I say that because of his skill set and who he's been in there with.
Yep.
I don't think there's anything Haney can do that Ramirez hasn't seen. And I'm interested to see where Haney didn't make the adjustments to the left hook. If Haney is doing something to Ramirez, is his camp smart enough to make those in-game adjustments? Mm-hmm. And if they do, how does Haney act? Because everything's mental.
Yeah.
So on the physical aspect, to me, Lopez is bigger. Lopez is a puncher. He stays within himself. He's got the skill set. So everything on the physical, yeah, Barboza is. But if I don't want to say just as much on the mental, but man, Haney's mental. I'm interested to see how he reacts to Ramirez. I really do. And we may be giving Garcia a pass with Rolly, because Rolly may be able to take advantage of Garcia. Because I think we can both agree Garcia's mind is not on Rolly. It's not. Mm-hmm. I don't think it is. Physically, that's the man you're in front of me, but I think Haney and Bill Haney in that fight is living rent-free in his head right now. Oh, yeah. I really think that's where he's yeah, man. He's still going with his dad, arguing. I understand why his dad is still arguing with him. If I can do anything to get in your mental psyche, make you look bad, you cheated against my son, so be it. And that's why we haven't heard Devin talk much, because Devin's like, that's not me. That's not where I am mentally. But mm-hmm. Garcia is feeding into this. And I just don't know that it's good, man. Now, again, he was crazy as a fox last fight, because we all thought he was crazy and he shouldn't have gotten in there with Haney. Now, again, maybe the PEDs helped, whatever. So I don't know. And the weight, there was no rehydration clause. He ballooned up. But the mental is huge. And maybe that's why Haney's dad is doing this. I don't know, man. But mentally, Haney needs this to show that he got over because I don't care if his record still says 0. We'll never forget what we saw. We will never forget what we saw. And Garcia, you won. I understand there was PEDs, but you can say, I won. That left hook, he couldn't stop it. Even if I'd have been whatever, he couldn't stop it. But you're getting sucked into that, from Bill Haney. So we'll see, man. But yeah, I think we're both in agreement that Barboza is the toughest opponent.
Yeah, he's gonna be a handful for Theo, no question.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Saturday card. This is in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh season. Talk about this preview. Canelo, obviously the highlight of this one. Couldn't fight on Tuesday with Cinco de Mayo, so it's the next best thing. We go to Saturday. But let's talk about the top 3 fights in this one. We start with Martin Bakole against Efe Ajagba. This is going to be a hell of a heavyweight fight, Chops. Your thoughts on this one?
Okay. Because Ajagba is in shape and he's got a long reach, you have to give him his dues, right? What is he? How many KOs does he have?
14 KOs. He's 20-1 with 14 KOs.
Yeah. So, and he's been in there with some names, right? But Cole, that's it. To me, to be honest with you, because of his physical stature, is in Ajagba. He's long. He's got some power. Decent jab, is why I say it could be interesting. But in my mind, Bakole's just too big and strong. Now, I know he got knocked out in his last fight, but let's not forget, took that on 2 days' notice, came in out of shape, You know what I mean? But because of that, and I like that Turkey upheld his end, he said, I will promise you a fight I'll promise you a spot in this card in Riyadh. And he did. He held it. So, and that's why, your boy Bakole helped them out and took that fight. You know what I mean? So it is going to be a great fight because they're both heavy punchers. I just think Bakole will be able to take Ajagba's punch better than Ajagba to be able to take his. That's me.
Yeah, and I was leaning that way until I started kind of scouting for this one. And I just have a feeling that, again, I'm not holding the last fight Bakole had against Parker against him. Like you said, he came in last minute. I think he literally flew in 48 hours before the fight. So he didn't even get adjusted to the time change or anything like that if he had to get, to that anyway. So, yeah, give him a pass on that. Really liked how he looked against Jared Anderson, Big Baby, before that fight. So that's where his star's been on the rise since then. Ajagba is a damn good fighter. And this is the final IBF eliminator. So at this point, whoever wins this fight is going to get a shot at the IBF portion of this championship, the heavyweight title. Now, it looks like Usyk Dubois is going to happen. So that's going to get technically unified before that. Let's just assume that. So what's the IBF going to do now? So if the WBC says we want to have a rematch, they're gonna say, nope, we're gonna strip the title again. I mean, at this point, if they do that again, I mean, I've always held the IBF at like number 3 on the board. To me, it's like, okay, enough. Hey, give me a break, man. What is this pro wrestling?
Exactly. And the fact, Drew, that the guys they'll let you strip them of the IBF, lets me know they don't care about it. I hate to say they don't care about it, but it means less. The IBF thinks they're bigger than they are. You know what I mean? The IBF thinks highly of themselves. We're going to strip you. Well, the fact that you're stripping fighter after fighter showed you they don't really care. You know what I mean? They really don't. So, but here's the thing. Now, have you seen some of the videos of Bakole working out for this fight?
Just a couple. What have you seen?
Okay. He looks in shape. I saw him jumping rope, doing all kind of things. I mean, and he looked slimmed down and he looked in shape. Then I started thinking about, remember we saw a couple videos of Andy Ruiz in his rematch with Joshua. And it's like, oh, he's down 50 pounds, this, down, whatever, and he's got a chest. And I was like, that was AI, because that is not what he looks like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that has to be suspicious. However, Bakole looked, if that's him, man, he looked good. And I do think he's going to want to have his best showing. I do think he's going to want to show Turkey, hey, man, I appreciate what you did for me, and I want to show you that it was not in vain. That last performance is not what I am. And I think he's going to come out. I do, man. I like Bakole in this one.
Where do you see it going?
If it hits 8, I'll be surprised. I'm going like 5 or 6. If it hits 8th round, I'll be surprised.
I agree. I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna go with Ajagba in this one, and not because I think less of Bakole for the last fight, not at all. I just think he's gonna surprise some people. He's gonna surprise Bakole. And one thing I was concerned about, you can be out of shape and whatever, but the punch that actually hurt Bakole, I know it kind of hit him in the back. It hit him in the back of the head. I get it. It just didn't look devastating to me, and that's a concern.
You're right. It didn't. And then I thought about that. I thought about 2 things. Number one, when you get hit to the back of the head, there's a reason why you can't do it, and it's flagged, right? So I thought about maybe that was it, and it was tender. And you know what it is, man. When you're not in shape and you get hit with a good shot, you'll see guys that say, he's in great shape. Look how fast he recovered. It goes the same way, the opposite way. When you're not in shape, you don't recover.
No.
You know what I mean? So that is what I'm putting that to, man. It wasn't a shot that – and it was also – what was he, 240 when Bakole got knocked out?
Second round, it was, I want to say maybe middle of the round or something like that.
Yeah. But he was out of shape. He's fighting another big man that had those heavy punches. I just think it was a lot of, time zone. He's traveling, time change, whatever have you. You do have to think about their last performance, but I still like Bakole, man, because normally that's not indicative of what he normally is.
Very true. Very true. I like both fighters. I think it's gonna be a really good fight. It's gonna be a banger, like you said. Yeah. It's not going the distance. It's not going the distance.
I'll be surprised if it does.
Oh yeah, very surprised. They're too big and strong. They're gonna hit each other, so it's gonna be fun to watch. Now we got a rematch coming up. Jaime Munguia against Bruno Surace, and Surace got the huge upset.
Cool.
In the last fight in the 6-round KO over Munguia. It was a surprisingly very good fight. And here's the thing, Chops. Surace he's from France. He's only fought twice outside of France.
Yeah.
And he's got a nice record. He's 26-0-2. He's only got 5 KOs, one of them being Munguia. But if you look, his last 2 fights are the 2 outside of France. He's gotten a TKO and a KO. So something has clicked with this guy, because he wasn't fighting any notable names in France. None. That's why I don't have anybody listed there. I mean, maybe I'm a shitty boxing fan, but I didn't know who they were. But I'm impressed by the last 2 fights a great deal. And the thing with Munguia, I know he fought Canelo and got knocked out, and he fought him hard. But, Munguia takes a lot of punishment. He's a strong-ass fighter. He hits hard. He's got 39 knockouts. He's 62-2-2. He's fought a lot of fights, and he's only 28. There's no height or reach advantage here. These guys are just going to bang with each other. Talk about this one. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I had told you going into the Canelo fight, for years I had been a huge Jaime Munguia fan. Huge. Oh, yeah. But it sort of bothered me how long it took him to get a title fight. And when I say took it, it bothered me to get a title fight. Was that because he and his corner didn't push for it, his team, or just wasn't offered? Because he was knocking cats out. He's in there to bang, right? Yeah. So that bothered me. You lose to Canelo, no shame there. No shame there. I thought I was going to see more from him. Even if he'd have went out on his shield, I expected him to throw heavier leather, and he didn't. Then he comes back against Surace. Did you watch that fight? Because I did.
I did.
He just caught him. That's what it was. You know what I mean? I don't think that was a perfect example of when the leather flies, anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
And if your head's not in it, if you overlook your opponent, you're counting lights. You're counting lights. So only thing I can say now that I couldn't say then, Surace has a nice knockout on his belt because he beat the way he knocked out Munguia. But I'm still going with Munguia, and I'll be surprised if it goes a different distance. And if it does, I look for Munguia to beat him up. On this one, I know Surace got the win, he got the knockout, but I'm still going, by the end of it, I'm going 116-112, Jaime Munguia.
I think I agree with you. I think Munguia is actually going to get a stop. I'm going to go TKO in 10. I think he's got to have better defense, no question. He can't freewheel, because, and then I'm going to tell you, in the back of his mind, in 2 of his last 3 fights, he's been kissing the canvas. He got knocked. Yes. So I don't care who you are, psychologically, that does play a factor. Now, I thought he showed Canelo a little too much respect in that fight, and that's why, to your point, you didn't see him throw like you thought. He's if you're gonna fight his fight, you can't fight with any kind of trepidation at all. You got to do your thing. Whatever happens, happens. So, but I agree. I think he'll win the fight, and I do see him getting a stoppage, put his name back up, on the marquee, so to speak, if you will, because he's a great fighter. He's a really great fighter.
I want to see him dig the body. I want to see him. Do you remember Sugar Shane and De La Hoya? And he hit De La Hoya. No, Vernon Forrest. Sugar Shane and Vernon Forrest. And Vernon Forrest almost cut Sugar Shane in half with a body shot. Do you remember? Mm-hmm. And I think I'm looking for Munguia to dig the body and go impressive with the body. And it'll be the body that wears him out, but a nice uppercut or a right hook that ends up sending and winning it. But I'm going with Jaime Munguia to come out, look impressive, nice defense, and put it on Bruno. I just think he will.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. But it's going to be a fun fight to watch, no question.
Oh, absolutely. I think Munguia's fights are always fun to watch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he doesn't disappoint. Now the main event, Canelo Alvarez against William Scull. Now, Scull has a 23-0 record with 9 knockouts. He hasn't really fought anybody of note, and he's only had 2. This is only 2 fights outside of Germany himself. I didn't list Canelo's last 5 or 6. I mean, I just listed the names he's fought, and it's a who's who in boxing, right? I mean, the trilogy, Triple G, the Munguia win, that was his last fight. Of course, he lost to Bivol going up to the the light heavyweight, but he also knocked out Sergey Kovalev. And then his other blemishes to a guy named Floyd Mayweather Jr. Some of you might have heard of him.
Maybe once or twice heard of that guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, Cotto, Khan, Kovalev. He's fought so many guys. Kirkland, I don't even have on here when he spun him around. Knocked him out. Oh, my gosh. But, let's talk about William Scull here. He's got a height advantage and reach advantage. Now, they're about the same age, so he's got some size on him. But let's talk about what do you want to see from him? Or what do you know about him?
Okay, when I checked it, I think he was a minus almost literally like 2,000 or something crazy. Canelo was. He was a huge favorite. Sorry about that again. I don't see it mattering. Last I saw Canelo, like I said, was like 2,000, almost 3,000. I want to. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Skull, there's nothing. I don't see him. Maybe he wins a round or 2. I don't see it going past 5. Maybe 6. Getting into the 6th. I don't see it. I don't think if 6, if 6.5, if 7.5, no 6.5 to make it 7. I don't think it's going 7 full rounds. I don't think you're going to see 7 full rounds.
I would like to see it only go 6. And I say that because one thing about Canelo's recent fights that he has won, there's been some, and this is like Cinco de Mayo weekend, right? So he tends to want to put on a show more than just take care of business. I would like to think that he's going to take care of business in this one. So I would agree. If it goes past 6, something's not right with Canelo.
Absolutely.
It's less about what Skull's doing and more about what Canelo's not able to do. Now, don't forget, this is, it's not a tune-up, but it kind of is a tune-up for ultimate September fight with
Crawford.
Bud Crawford. So he's gonna have to. He's got to show something. I think he's got to take advantage of the opportunity and do what he needs to do against Bud and just put a whooping on Scull. He needs.
Yeah. You're right. When he can't play around with him, because again, when leather flies, you never know what could happen. You never ever know. And that's not something you want. That's not a risk you want to take.
No.
To me, it is a formality. We have to do this. Let's do it. But that's it. That's why they play the games. You know what I mean? But Skull's throwing punches just like Canelo. Canelo's defense, I don't see it, man. I just don't see Scull having the power, the resume, the boxing acumen. I just don't see it. I don't see how it can happen. I don't see how Scull can win this.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's more about watching Canelo fight and then seeing the hype afterwards, because they're gonna. I would almost guarantee Bud's gonna come in that ring.
Ooh, yeah, absolutely.
Afterwards, and they're gonna have a chat, and it's gonna be fun, and that's gonna be a great fight to look forward to in September. I believe is when it's gonna happen. But we're both aligned on that one. I don't think there's much doubt Canelo wins it. Let's talk about Sunday. We've got the monsters coming to the U.S. T-Mobile Arena, going to be taking on for his undisputed bantamweight championship, Ramon Cardenas, who's 26-1 with 14 knockouts. And this is a pretty solid fighter in Cardenas. And let's talk about him, Chops. What do you like about him, and what do you know about him?
You're right. He is a solid fighter. He really is a solid fighter. And I'll be honest with you, Fulton, Inoue, there's not a whole lot of cats I knew at that weight. Now, Fulton's even moved up, you know what I mean? Fulton, but there's not a whole lot of cats I know at that weight. But looking into it, Cardenas, he is solid, and he's been in there with some guys, so he has some talent, and he's got some experience. But we call him the monster for a reason, bro. We call him the monster for a reason. He just comes in differently. He hits differently. Now, what is this? This is only his second fight. His is in Inoue's second fight outside of
Japan.
So, but I'll be honest with you, man. Cardenas on paper has everything you'd want walking into the ring with. He's got knowledge. He's got guys under his belt. He's still youthful. You know what I mean? Nice to his punches. But I just don't think it's going to be enough. I just don't think. However, we have seen Inoue get knocked down. He came back and punished the dude and got the knockout. But we have seen Inoue knocked down. So it's not like he's what he say in Rocky IV when he cut the big Russian, when he comes back, see,
he's not a machine.
He's a man. He's not a machine. He's a man.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's what you need to get over that hump. You know what I mean? Just realize he's a man of flesh and blood, just like me. So it's not that Inoue can't beat well. He's not been beaten. You know what I mean? So it's not like he can't be knocked down. It's not like he can't be hit. It's not like he can't be hurt. All those things are there. Now, getting them and achieving them are something significantly different.
Yeah, I mean, Cardenas is a top 10 fighter with every governing body right now. Although Inoue is a -5,000 favorite in this fight.
Yeah.
So,
yes, I get it. I get it because everything. And here's the problem. You would like to think when you do everything you're supposed to, when you live life the right way, when you handle things a certain way, when you carry yourself a certain way, good things will happen. And your boy Cardenas, right? He's coming in with a nice record. He's young. He's coming in with notable fights. He's coming in with experience. He's coming in with a great skill set. And you would like to see good things happen to him. And in his coming future, they will. But I don't see it Sunday night. I don't see it Sunday. So, Cardenas, you've done everything right. You've lived a good life. You fought the good fight. You've got experience. You've sharpened your skill set. You've sharpened all your tools. So as a reward, we give you Inoue. Really? You know what I mean? It's like, what contest in hell did I win that's my prize? So anything can happen, but I don't know, man. I don't see it. I don't see it. I see Cardenas coming in, being valiant, as in giving a good fight, giving everything he's got, but it just not being enough. And if this one sees the beginning of the sixth, I'll be surprised.
Oh, okay. I like that. Okay.
If this sees the beginning of the sixth, I'll be shocked. And that's a win for Cardenas if it does.
I agree. He's kind of, even though he's a top 10 contender, he's still playing with house money on this because with the odds, -5,000. I mean, obviously nobody thinks he has a prayer of winning this fight. And he likely doesn't, but he could show, if he puts on a good show, if he can hurt in a way, if he can show that he's got power, at the very least, he's going to get some more fights.
Yes, and he can still propel himself to bigger and greater things. Yeah.
So one
but
question
it also shows you he's a top 10 guy.
Mm-hmm.
None of the other 8 guys in the top 10 wanted this fight more. They didn't try to put their hat in the ring. Did they know I'm just good being 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? I'm not trying to fight number. You know what I mean? I understand he's a top 10 guy, but you're still -3,000. Come on, bro. Come on.
I think this is tailor-made to set up a potential fight maybe 6 to 9 months down the road. And I would love to see Inoue and Tank get in the ring.
Who? Oh.
I would love to see it.
What?
Love to see it.
Tank is now what? 140? 135.
135. So Inoue.
And Inoue fights at 122?
I think Inoue could come up. He's a pretty stocked guy. I mean, he's in great shape. He's not.
But I'll be with you. I haven't heard. Of course, they don't. We know his fights because we're boxing fans. But I haven't seen a lot of his fights covered. I don't know if he ever has heavy, hard weight cuts because he's been the dominant champ at 122 for a while, and he hasn't moved up. Where even remember we had your boy Fulton, who was decent at 122. But he had to move up. He couldn't make that. You know what I mean? I don't know what kind of weight. your boy Inoue has, how hard would it be to come up to 130 and then Tank to come down at 130? I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But
I would think
because
Tank
there's not
would struggle to come down to 130 more than Inoue would struggle to go up to that. I think that's always the case in my view, unless it really significantly would slow him, which would be a detriment.
Well, that'd be the thing. Yes, you would think it's harder to come down to 130 and it'd be easier to go up. But if he's not having trouble making 122, and I know it's only 8 pounds, do you put those 8 pounds on and do you still look as good at 130 that you do at 122? You know what I mean?
The question.
But again, if they sign it, wherever they sign it, I'm watching. You know what I mean? If people born around don't die square. All they know is to come forward, both of them. So that's what I would assume the fight would be. So I'd watch it if they sign it. Believe you me, Jack. I don't care what class.
Well, we went a little over today, Chops, but we had a lot to talk about. And it was
we did.
This is really good. It's gonna be a great boxing weekend.
Ooh.
I mean,
this is like because Cinco de Mayo is normally like the Final Four weekend for boxing. That's normally the big, the Super Bowl, Game 7 World Series, whatever have you. Cinco de Mayo, for some reason, is always, the big fight. Normally it's Mexican fighters, but we don't have it this time. But Cinco de Mayo weekend is normally the creme de la creme of boxing. And Turk, and they did not disappoint this weekend either.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited about it. Folks, thanks for watching. Appreciate your support. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for hitting them like buttons on the videos. Don't forget to keep watching us every week. We're on Friday nights at 10 p.m. on the ESPN Network on the Roku channel. He's Chops. I'm Drew. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for watching the Haymakers and Submissions podcast. You can find us on the ESEN network on the Roku app every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time beginning on October 4th, 2024. Check us out on Twitter X. Our handle is @HeySubPod, capital H, capital S, capital P. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single episode. Just go to your web browser and type in www.youtube.com/@Haymakers and Submissions podcast, as we will drop content weekly. Whether it's boxing, MMA, or wrestling that gets you fired up, you'll get all you need right here at the Haymakers and Submissions podcast.